Welcome again to The Actor's Vow. This is Denise Porrastabat, and I'm so excited to be here another week. I know there wasn't an episode last week, but I told you there would be one. Life has been hectic. Let me tell you, things with the Actor's Vow program are going amazing, but there is so much and there's a lot going on TikTok, so make sure you follow there if you don't. And I'm gonna give you another reason to follow there, and it's because the doors of the Actor's Vow coaching program are going to open again soon. And I'm going to be announcing that officially next week on TikTok. So make sure you follow me on TikTok, The Actor's Vow. And also, if you're interested in being part of the Actor's Vow coaching program, especially now that the summer is around the corner, make sure you sign up for the waiting list, because the waiting list is going to be receiving news this week. And you're going to be hearing all about the date when the program is opening again and many more details about it. I am very excited to welcome new members to our beautiful and talented family and to work with all of you. Having said that, I do have a great guest for you today. And today's episode is a little bit different. And I thought it was very important to bring this guest here today because it's not exactly specifically acting and the things we have been talking about in this podcast until now. Our guest today is Ali Melendez, and she is actually a host. And I think there were so many similarities between hosting and acting. And I think it was very important to talk about the fact that, you can love acting and you can even study acting in college. And at some point of your life, realize that maybe acting is not exactly what you want to do. Ali realized at a pretty early age, after she had done some theater and some acting, and she really enjoyed that, but she realized that exactly wasn't what she wanted to do. The point I'm trying to make here is that as actors, there are so many possibilities out there. And I think it's easy for us to say, I want to be an actor, because that's the thing that's most available to us. That's the thing that you see the most when you watch a movie or TV. The actors are the things that we are seeing, that we pay attention to. But there is so much that goes into filmmaking and the entertainment industry. And hosting is one of those things. So let me tell you a little bit about Ali. Ali is a TV host, a mentor, a certified yogi, and a fitness expert. She started her first job as a host and video jockey for Indie Music TV's Top 21 Countdown. And then she went on to host Indie Spotlight Live, a live music show broadcasted to thousands of viewers with Dailymotion.com and IndieMusic.com. Ali has worked as both a host and a reporter for Awesome TV, an internationally acclaimed entertainment news website where she covered events such as Indian American Heritage Night at the Prudential Center and the 2017 IIFA Awards. You can catch Ali on numerous episodes of CBS Live It Up with Donna Drake. So Ali, after having all that, is currently the in-arena host for the Long Island Nets, the NBA G League team affiliate to the Brooklyn Nets, at NYCB Live. Other sports hosting also include working with the New York Cosmos, the New York Riptide, and the Atlantic 10 men's basketball tournament held in Barclays Center in 2019 and 2020. You can also see Ali on Yes Network as the co-host of Stadium Authentics with Brendan Stainer of the Stainer Agency. And she's also currently the host of In the Crosshairs, a live show about sports betting which airs on YouTube. Other than being a host, Ali has her mentor side. And in 2020, during the pandemic, Ali launched the On Air Institute, a 12-week course that helps aspiring on-air hosts and public speakers master their mindset and confidence, sharpen their public speaking skills, and ultimately land or create the on-air job of their dreams. Ali is such a bright and down-to-earth person, and it was so great talking to her. I really cannot wait for you to hear this interview and learn a little bit more about this other side of the entertainment industry. I don't think she needs further introduction, so let's welcome Ali Melendez to The Actor's Vow. Hi, Ali. Welcome to the Actors Vow. It's so great to have you here today.
Denise, oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here with you. It's a Friday, it's sunny out, it's like all good vibes. So I'm really, really excited.
So, the first question I ask everybody that comes in the podcast is what made you want to be an actor? So, for you, I guess it would be what made you want to be a TV host?
Yes, and actually, acting played a huge role with that. So, growing up, I was always in theater. I did theater outside of school, I did theater in school. I was totally the theater nerd. I still am, and I'm proud of it. And so, there was a time in my life where, it was high school, you're getting ready to kind of figure out that next big step of life. Do you go to college? If so, what do you go for? And I feel like, well, this is a little beside the point. I feel like that's so much pressure on you at that age. But one thing I knew for sure is how much I loved being on a stage, how much I absolutely loved impacting people through, telling a story and through making them feel a certain emotion, whether that's, laughing or feeling, that feeling of joy and whatever that may be. I was so connected to how an actor is able to do that on a stage. And I realized, okay, I love acting. I've always done it. I have the experience. I have the passion for it. But I kind of want to do it where it's myself and I'm not acting as a character. I want to do it where I'm connecting with an audience and impacting people as Ali Melendez. So what can I do for my job, for my career that allows me to have that effect? And so I started to look into broadcasting, and I think that the two are so similar because, again, it's all about having that kind of stage presence. It's about having that confidence in how you show up. It's about impacting the audience to feel a certain way with your words and your actions. And I think that the reason that they're so similar is why I was able to fall in love with broadcasting so quickly. And that kind of led me to where I am today. So I went to college. I studied journalism, mass communications. I was super involved in school. But of course, because I had that love for acting always there and still is, I actually minored in theater. So I was able to kind of get the best of both worlds and get, 2 for 1 sort of a degree, which was really, really great for me. So I did that, and then I just kind of, got myself really involved in learning as much as I could hands-on in school so that by the time I graduated, I was able to fully just throw myself into the industry and just really hope for the best.
Okay, I do want to get more into like the things that are similar, but you said you wanted to be in front of a camera or on a stage, but not be a character. Do you know why that is?
I think that I feel like for me personally, always having, to be a different character, like when I was acting or whatever, you're playing someone else. You know what I mean? Like you're pulling from a place where you're telling their story, and you're kind of in their relationships and I feel like, yeah, it's so fun to connect as an actor to a character. But I wanted to do that as me. So use my personal stories to connect with people. Use my background as Ali Melendez to connect with an audience. And so when I say a character, I mean, just literally like not in a play. Just being on stage, having that effect, but being myself and telling my own story. I think that was always something that interested me the most.
That makes sense. And that's funny because usually that's all the contrary for actors. We become actors because we like to hide behind a character and be able to show ourselves, but behind that mask, that's still not ourselves. So it's great that you had that confidence to be like, no, I want to present myself and communicate with people in that way. And you went to college for journalism and theater, you said. So what are the steps after that? Let's say someone is listening and they want to do what you're doing. How would they go about that?
Yes, that's such a great question. Thank you for asking. So, honestly, I would suggest getting very clear about what part of the industry you want to get into, because there are so many different parts. I mean, if you want to be on air, right, you can go into radio, you can start your own podcast or YouTube show. You can, be on TV, which is a little bit difficult and kind of competitive, but of course it's possible. You can get into live event hosting. You can get into, emceeing for different events. So I think having a strong understanding of where it is you want to be within the industry is a really crucial first step, because the next steps after that are going to look and feel different. And so in terms of getting started, so let's say you decide, okay, I really want to start my own YouTube series, right? And I really want to be the host, and I want to have guests on the show, and I want to potentially make money off of it as well, because that's why not, right? We all want to make money doing what we love, which is my idea of success. So let's say that's your goal. Okay, great. So what do you need to do? You need to learn about YouTube. You need to get X amount of subscribers. You need to market yourself a little bit so that people understand where your show is. You need to outline the show, learn some editing, right? So that would be very specific for that route, compared to, let's say, someone wanting to be on television or wanting to be a news reporter. That's going to be completely different. So if you want to get into that side of the industry, you need to put together a demo reel, which is basically, and actors have this too. We have our reels where, we have the compilation of just everything that showcases our best work and our best talent of us being on camera. So it's the same thing with broadcasters, right? Like, how do you show up on air? How do you want to be perceived by someone who could potentially hire you? And I think showing your best clips, your best work, keeping it short and to the point, is really, really important. And also understanding that you can use what you have. You don't need to go out and buy expensive equipment or be in a studio or anything like that. Our phones are incredible pieces of technology that we can utilize alongside good lighting, a good wardrobe, and we can definitely make our own. Thank God we're at a place right now in life digitally where we can make our own reels and start really putting ourselves out there. And so I think that no matter what you want to do, the best thing to do is to find a mentor who is going to help you kind of navigate the next few steps. You don't feel alone. Because for me, coming out of college, I had a good understanding, a clear understanding of what it is I wanted to do and what part of the industry I wanted to be in, but I didn't really know how to get there. So it took a lot of networking with people that I admired in the industry, kind of just asking them, picking their brain, seeing, what steps worked for them, getting some guidance on my demo reel and all that good stuff, and getting good feedback and critiques is also really important too. So have an open mind and get feedback, I think is really important. But finding that mentor is really the most important thing, because you want to ultimately believe in yourself. And when someone else believes in you, it's becomes a little easier to believe in yourself too. So do your research. And Instagram, social media is an incredible free networking tool that we can use to find a mentor or to find a coach or someone who can definitely help us break into this career, which is actually something that I do as well. So I mentor aspiring on-air broadcasters and people who want to get into the industry, but they're not sure how, based on my personal experience and my connections.
I think you're so right. Anything that you want to get into, not just like the arts and performing and all that, I do think you want to find that mentor, because there's people that have done it before us, and like, why would you want to do it alone and have to relearn everything when there's someone that can share their own experience? So I absolutely think anything you want to do in life, if you can find that person to guide you and mentor you, it is very smart to do. I want to go back to the demo reels. You said, I think it's very interesting that you also have demo reels with hosting. I cannot imagine what that would look like. Is it like in acting that you have like 1 minute or 2 minutes and you put different things? Do you just need one clip? How does it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, depending on the type of job that you are looking to get, your demo reel is going to look and feel a bit different. But for, let's say, someone who wants to get into serious news reporting, you would just take a couple stories, look into other reels of successful reporters and people that are doing what you want to do, and kind of not copy them, but see what you like about their demo reels and then kind of use that as inspiration for your own. But yes, Denise, the short answer is it is. It's a bunch of little clips kind of weaved together, showcasing your best work on camera and your ability to be a reporter or a broadcaster. And it's typically around, I'd say less than 3 minutes is best, like similar to an acting reel. You know, you want to show the best of the best without overdoing it, without oversaturating it, because unfortunately, as you know, in today's day and age, people's attention spans are just, they are quick, they are short, they're either interested or they're not, and they know that right away. And it's the same thing with wanting to find a job in news. It's pretty competitive, or just any broadcasting job. It's pretty competitive here in New York where I'm at, especially. So if you're in a place where you know it can be competitive, then definitely just seek the advice of other people or see other reporters in your area that are doing it in a way that you feel is successful, and see what works for them. Take tips from them. You can always, if you wanted to make a demo reel, you can always create stories that are already in other people's demo reels and just rewrite them in your own way. Tell them in your own way. So that way, because I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, how do I even start? What content, what script do I make for a demo reel? And I'm like, just use the stories that are out there. Everything is, you know, there's always something going on no matter what. So turn on the news, turn on, you know, social media, look up, you know, things that are trending in your area, right? There's always something to report on that will fit the criteria of what you want to put in your demo reel. And again, just nice lighting, a nice short clip, showcasing your best personality and how you show up on air. Maybe your interviewing skills, right? Like stuff like that, I think is really, really important. And the depth of shots as well. It is so important to not just show something like this, like the little box that we're in, for every single clip. You know, do some far, do some close up, do like a full body. Just kind of make it versatile and different, again, to hold the attention of the person who could potentially hire you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we as actors, we have casting websites. So where do you send this demo reel? What do you do with it?
Yeah, so I'm actually on, have you heard of Casting Networks?
Yes.
Right, so that's a lot of like background work, acting work, but it actually has a lot of hosting work as well. And so, yeah, so that's what I mean. It's so weird because they are totally different careers, but there's so many similarities. And so there are sites like that where you can just put your reel there. And I know Gig Salad is a really good one. Indeed, I have my my demo reel on Indeed, on YouTube, on Facebook. So just any social media platform that you would use to kind of get yourself out there. If you were an actor, you can do the same thing pretty much for all platforms as a broadcaster as well, which makes it really, really easy. So yeah, I would suggest definitely putting it on YouTube, maybe having either a second Instagram account or something where you're just dedicating all the content solely to being that on-air personality, so then people can kind of see you as that person, and then you gain credibility as that person as well. So yeah, YouTube is great. And then link that YouTube video everywhere, you know, send it everywhere. So I think that's really, really important to note, is that it's not much different than like acting websites out there.
Definitely, yeah. I'm surprised. Like, that's exactly what I would tell an actor. So that's great. I also want to talk about another similarity that I think they have, and that's that you have to show up publicly. Like, no matter what, you know, they say the show must go on. Like, if you're having a bad day, you have to show up and still do your job. And yes, all jobs you have to do that, but it's different if you have an office job, you know, you're having a bad day, so that day you're just going to be more quiet, do your thing and go home. But as a host or an actor, you have to interact, you have to put a good face in front of everyone. So how is that for you? Like, how have you had that confidence, you know, of like going on a bad day and doing what is your job?
I love this question because everybody always asks me, how do you have all this energy? You know, how are you always positive? And to them, I just want to say I'm not always positive. I don't always have the energy, you know? It's so important to be transparent and showcase all that, you know, parts of you that make you human. And I think that when you're passionate about something, that electricity inside of you, you know, to show up and do your job well just comes naturally. So whether you are super into acting, you're super into broadcasting, whatever it may be, when you are in a state of low energy, or maybe you're feeling like it's a heavy day and, you know, you're not super positive, if you are able to really show up, you know, as the best version of yourself, then I feel like you'll be able to actually start to feel positive. You'll start to feel more energetic because you're doing something that you love. And so for me, what I always do anytime I am about to host something, whether it's live or recorded or whatever. So first off, I never have coffee, because sometimes coffee's a hit or miss for me. Like, I will be like the Energizer bunny, but if I have too much of it, I'll feel like burnt out and jittery. So that affects my performance and affects my energy. So I have kind of realized, you know, over the years, what best serves me. How do I show up as the best version of me every single time I'm hosting something? And for me, I realized, okay, it's a little, maybe it's less caffeine that day. Maybe I go for a nice long walk and kind of just mentally get myself grounded, especially if I woke up feeling kind of low or feeling kind of down or whatever it may be. And again, that's normal. We're human. So you will have days where that's just how it is, and that's okay. Just understanding that you're able to move past that and do what feels good for your body, do what you have to do to tune into yourself, so that you know when it's time to show up for your job, you show up and you show out the best way you know how, by tuning into that 100%. And then honestly, like I said before, if you are passionate about what you're doing, if your heart is fully in it, you will fully show up as this super positive, super energetic person doing your job, which is always helpful. So like, working is my favorite thing to do when I'm feeling down. Like, connecting with people, being on a podcast is my absolute favorite thing to do when I'm feeling like, whatever, because I'm instantly lifted by the act of just doing it. Like, I instantly like vibe with the energy of the people I'm talking to, or the audience I'm impacting. And it's such an incredible feeling. And I know that actors feel the same way for sure.
Yeah, and I love that you said sometimes you have to just do it. And I feel the same way. Like, sometimes you just have to push yourself. So it's like working out. You're like, I don't feel like working out. And I don't think I ever have been like, I just want to go work out for 45 minutes nonstop. But when you start, then it's when you feel motivated. And this is the same thing. So many days I'm just like, I just don't want to record videos or like do this class, whatever it is. And you just have to do that push, the like last minute push. And then once you're there, everything is going to be fine. Absolutely. That love, that passion that we have is what guides us. Yeah. Awesome. So we just talked about how there's so many ways of hosting. And I think now with the pandemic, there is so much going on. I mean, I don't know if there's less jobs for hosting, more. I don't know how that has affected your job.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's kind of crazy because, you know, well, it's good that things are opening up again. So I think that that's a wonderful thing for the industry. However, more and more digital jobs have been coming out. And I think that's also incredible, you know, because more jobs to be able to be a digital host is happening now, and that has never been the case in the past. So I think there's plenty of opportunities. There are abundant opportunities to get into this industry, especially now, so more than ever. And especially if you're preferring to still work, you know, remotely, maybe you're not ready to get back into a studio or, you know, whatever. So I think there's a lot of options, especially now because of COVID. How it affected me, yeah, well, it affected everybody for sure. So my background right now currently is I do mostly live event hosting for New York sports teams. So I work with the Long Island Nets, the NBA G League affiliate to the Brooklyn Nets. I also do backup hosting for Brooklyn Nets. I also work with MLS for the New York Red Bulls team. So when I say I'm the host of these sports teams, What I mean is, essentially I have the mic, I'm on the Jumbotron, I'm engaging with the audience, I'm kind of, making them feel hyped and feel excited about the match or the game. And I'm doing t-shirt toss, contests, all the fun things that you want when you go to see a game live, when you want to experience that fun and that entertainment. So that's kind of the theater background too, right? Like I get to be this performer in a way where I'm doing it as me, which is something I've always wanted to do. So I do a lot of live event hosting surrounding sports. I've also done stuff with Yes Network as a television host and a bunch of different things with recorded production as well. But the live event hosting completely stopped because sports completely stopped last year. And we had no idea, how long that was going to be for. So there was a time where I was going from this job to this job to this job to, all these different things. And then all of that came to an end so abruptly. And I just feel like, it was good and bad when I reflect on it now because, well, so obvious reasons for it to be bad for everybody. I mean, yeah, we all went through such a crazy time together, but it was good first and foremost because I was able to, for the first time in years, Denise, I was able to have this time to really reflect on why I'm so passionate about this job to begin with. Why, go back to my purpose, what is my purpose for doing what I'm doing? And the time kind of forced me to slow down and really reflect on why it is this industry and this career lights me up so much. And I realized my purpose is to connect with people and to impact people, whether it's through education, entertainment, or both. Because a lot of people don't know this. I'm also a fitness instructor. So I work once or twice a week at a fitness place because moving my body has always helped me with anxiety, which allows me to show up in the way that I broadcast a lot better. So fitness has always kind of been this thing I've done for myself. But again, because I love to connect with people and impact people, I was like, screw it, I'm going to be a coach too. As a side gig. Yeah, so that's always been something that kind of surprises people when I tell them that because I don't talk about that a lot. But basically I realized the common thread between every single job I've ever had is being able to inspire people, impact people, and make a connection on a genuine human level. So I realized, okay, well, I don't have any of my jobs right now. I can't connect with people the way that I want to, but there's got to be something that I can do where I'm still connecting to my purpose and I'm still making a difference. So that's when I realized, how important a strong mentor is. And that's when I really reflected on my experience, my 8+ years of experience in the industry doing every single type of broadcasting that you can imagine. And it made me realize, wow, I have a lot of experience and I'm super fortunate for the incredible opportunities that I've had. And I want to share this with people. I want to inspire people to feel so powerful getting into this industry and they can do anything, because if I can do it, so can you. I'm just a girl from Long Island, New York, and I worked hard and I never burned any bridges and I kept connections alive. And I think that's all that played such a huge role into getting me to where I am today. So that's when I started thinking about becoming a mentor, and a coach for aspiring on-air broadcasters, which then kind of snowballed into allowing me to open and start my business, the On Air Institute, which is my 12-week course for aspiring broadcasters. And again, whatever it is that you want to get into, I can help you get into it, since I do have such a wide variety of a background with my experiences and connections. So that's kind of what I gave birth to during COVID, if you will. And so I'm really fortunate for that time now looking back, because I was able to create something so beautiful that really transforms people's lives. And it's been such an incredible thing. And I still do it now, even with my jobs coming back. That is definitely my favorite thing to do is to coach people and be a mentor.
That's so cool hearing that. And I'm going to tell you, every single guest I've had during this whole year in the pandemic has told me the same thing. I think we've all had this experience. This has been a life-changing year. And yes, it has been bad in many ways for many people, but I think so many beautiful things have come out of this. I mean, this podcast, myself, it started at the beginning of the pandemic because of the pandemic. Otherwise, I would have never stopped and reflected that I wanted to do this too, apart from acting. Same, I also have a coaching program that started because of the pandemic. And I know so many other performers or people like fitness coaches that are starting their programs because of it, expanding and really creating that community that we really have craved during this pandemic. So I think it's so beautiful that you are also doing that. Tell us more about the On Air Institute. What is the course? How does it work?
Of course, yes, I'd love to. And you're so right, Denise. Like, just being able to have that community at a time where none of us could be together in person, I think was such an incredible thing that came out of COVID. So yeah, just to play on that a little bit more, there was so many positives when you reflect, and I'm glad that you noted that for sure. So so the On Air Institute is like my baby. I love it. And it's a 12-week course. Every single week is kind of a new lesson plan, a new topic, and it really takes you through everything you need to know and feel and connect to in order to be a successful on-air broadcaster. So, for example, the first few weeks are actually dedicated solely to mindset and confidence, because I think that doing the inner work is as important, if not more important, than actually putting together the demo reel, sending out your resume, buying a new nice outfit for an interview, right? Like, all of that comes after you start to really tap into your power. You start to decide how you want to show up and how you want others to perceive you in your day-to-day life. Because when you can feel like the most confident version of you, which, by the way, confidence is a skill. So I just want to note that, because a lot of people are like, I'm not confident, I'll never be confident. That is absolutely not true. Confidence is a skill.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because you are very confident, and in your job you do have to be very confident in yourself. You are yourself, as you said. So have you always been confident? And if you haven't, how did you learn that?
Yeah, so I have not always been confident. However, I've always been very grateful, and I'll tell you how they tie into each other in a moment. But I remember being like the weird kid that would I was like, I'm just so blessed for my house and my family, and my sister's just like, okay. I'm like, I love all my Barbies, right? Like, I think my mom is the same way. So like, I've just always been super, super grateful for everything that I have. And I think when you are grateful, when you're in a state of gratitude, you genuinely feel just better about everything that goes on in your life, because you see things in a perspective where you're so grateful for everything. And I think that when you start to feel like this person who has everything and feels like, everything that is coming to them from the universe is going to be more things to be grateful for, you start to feel like this kind of better version of yourself, Instead of being complacent with what you have, you feel grateful, you'll feel happy, you get this sense of joy, this sense of purpose for the life that you're living. And I think showing up in that way and having that mindset helps you to feel rooted in your confidence, because then you start to feel this like this confident version, this strong version, this powerful version of you. And so I think that helped me to grow my confidence along the way, having this constant, attitude of gratitude my whole life. And it also helps me to strengthen my mindset too a lot, which I think plays a huge role into confidence. So, the words and the thoughts that we tell ourselves are so important. The things we think about ourselves, right? The things that we say about ourselves, whether it's subconscious or whatever, it plays a huge role in how you believe, things about you, how you show up in this world, what you perceive your reality to be. So when you're able to be grateful and feed yourself with love, just say, I love myself. I am enough. I am worthy. I do have an amazing life. I have it all, right? it takes work because not everyone can just have a positive mindset. We're humans, as I said at the top of the show. We all have our shit, but when you're able to be intentional about cultivating that attitude of gratitude, about cultivating that mindset deeply rooted in positivity and abundance, then you naturally feel confident showing up as you are. So I think that's right off the bat. That's why in the Honor Institute, we dive right into what is your purpose? Why do you want to do this to begin with? And then we use that as the common thread to kind of get through each week. So when they find that, they connect to that, which helps then kind of go into the next week, which is mindset, right? So how can we use our mindset for good, to back ourselves up, to believe in ourselves instead of to self-doubt, self-destruct, and all the things that sometimes happen subconsciously, right? Like sometimes it's not even in our control. We don't even know why we're subconsciously damaging ourselves with our thoughts. But when we're aware of that, we can start to turn it around and work on it, which then helps us to start working on our confidence. And as many times as you can work on it, and you do work on it, and you commit to showing up that way and get out of your comfort zone in order to grow, then you're naturally going to start to really feel like this confident version of you. But it does take time and it does take practice. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh man, like I don't even know where to start, and this, and this, and I don't really like myself, and I wish I had this, pause and take note of the thoughts and the words that are coming to your brain right now, because when we can start to shift that, we can start to shift our perspective, and then we start to shift the way that we show up in this world.
I love that. I'm a big fan of gratitude and affirmations and all that. And funny enough that you're saying that, my coaching program also starts with mindset. And I think it's because of the same reason. Like, I always tell them, you can have all the technique you want and be the most talented actor, but if you don't have the right mindset, this is a tough industry. Like, you really need to know who you are, have that confidence, and understand how to navigate the industry and how you fit in that. And how, you talking to yourself, that's such a big thing too, like such negative talk that I think as artists we have, because we are being ourselves. It is very vulnerable. It's putting ourselves on the spot that most people on a daily life or don't ever do, because we're a lot of humans, we're not used to sharing those emotions and feelings, right? And as artists or as a host, you're putting yourself out there like most people don't. And that really plays a big role in your mindset. If you don't have a strong mindset, it can really affect you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get it. You're like, I do the same thing in my course. I'm like, yeah, because we know how important it is to get really, really rooted and connected to who we are at the core before kind of getting into, the techniques and the work that needs to be done to be good in the industry. And I think that is just so important. The inner work is always going to be the most important way to perfect the outer work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. So I love connection. I would shout it from the rooftop, but I'm sure I've said it enough on this podcast already. So honestly, just DM me on Instagram if you want to connect, anything like that. If you wanted to check out the course, of course, you can just go to my website, which is alimelendez.com, and you can read about my experience in the industry. You can read about some other, clients in the past I've had with their success stories, and just see if it's a good feel for you. And then, of course, if it is, reach out to me. I'm here for you. I'm always, always here to support you in your career, to help you get to that next level, and to dig a little deeper within yourself to truly find your confidence and power. So that is what I absolutely love to do, and I absolutely would love to help you with that. And you can book a free 30-minute Zoom call with me too. It's the link in my bio on Instagram. It's free, just to kind of see if it is for you, because I'm a lot of things. I'm not pushy. So I will never push a course on you guys. I would never, I know a lot of coaches do that because it's their business, and of course, but we're humans first and foremost. We all have a lot of things going on. So I would never want to make anyone feel overwhelmed. So check it out. See if it's for you. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram at ali.melendez.
Yeah, and absolutely what works for one person might not work for the other. And it's so important that you're a right fit. And it's not about anything personal. It really has to connect with you. It doesn't connect with you. Maybe another person's teaching the same thing in a different way that connects to you more personally. And I also always tell, my students, please do not just stay with this. Like, really research all the things that you can, find what works just for you. That's absolutely very important.
I'm glad you said that, because just a quick thing, there is so much imposter syndrome or comparison syndrome, especially with social media. We see the way certain people are living their lives, and we just compare our lives to their lives, right? And so just to note, there's always going to be someone doing what you want to do. And that's how it's always going to be. There are millions of coaches, there are whatever. So just understanding that there is no one else in this world who is you, and your uniqueness is your superpower. And I think that that's something really important to note. So I'm just glad you said that, Denise, because that's something that I always want to tell my students too, is that don't ever be discouraged, and don't fall into comparison.
We were talking about social media. I was looking at your Instagram. And you're doing so many things there, and I think it's really cool. You give tips on Instagram, and you also have a show where you interview people, right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. And we can go into like my love-hate relationship with Instagram, because I think it's great, but I'm like, it's also a constant battle. But yes, I do love social media, Instagram in particularly, because we get to connect. Like, I get to talk to people I would have never met before. That's how, like me and you can stay connected now because of Instagram when we've never met in person. So it really is such a beautiful networking tool. And I meet the most amazing people that I then ask to come on my Instagram show, the Ali Melendez Show. It's an IGTV series where I have conversations with people typically outside of the 9 to 5. So they're, entrepreneurs, or maybe they're, podcasters, or whatever it may be. They are outside of the 9 to 5 doing something totally different that they feel super passionate about. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of vague, but I've had people, from actors from Broadway to, coaches and mindset gurus and meditation specialists. So just a bunch of different people doing what they love and making a career out of it, which is so inspiring. So yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And again, I just love connecting with people and having great conversations. So you can find all of those on my Instagram if you wanted to check them out. Different topics, different themes, and it's really great. So yeah, I'll have to have you on sometime for sure.
That's awesome. I would love to. I love social media too. I also have a love-hate relationship, but I do think that, in our job, we kind of have to. I don't know how it is for your job. Do you have to? Like, is it important in your field?
Oh my gosh, it is so important, because they want to see, well, I'm sure it's the same way with booking gigs. It's like, unfortunately, influencers or people who with a following, right? Like, that's super important. Yes, you need to be skilled as an actor or a broadcaster. Of course, you need to have the talent. But in addition to that, it's always helpful when you have a following or high engagement rate, when you're constantly putting out valuable content, right? And you're showcasing yourself as sort of an expert in your field. So yeah. It is great, that we can do that, and we have the power to really almost like use it as a portfolio to show our work and show our personality and show our connections and relationships with people. But at the same time, it's like you take a break, and then you can feel like you lose all that in an instant, or like whatever. Like, because I've taken social media cleanses, which I feel are super important, to just kind of step away from it and have a few days or weeks to myself, and then kind of come back on the platform. But I also feel like, oh man, I haven't showed up for my community in like a week, and I feel bad. And they're like, where'd you go? So, it's that love-hate relationship, because I always want to serve, and I always want to connect and engage with the community there. But I also need to make sure that my energy is a priority for me as well, and that I'm not spending all of my time just like mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or just, putting up things that maybe aren't helpful for my community. So, it's kind of that love-hate relationship, but I overall think it's a positive thing when we use it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is so demanding. It is really a daily job. Like if you miss one day, you're already, I don't know what's with the algorithm, but one day you're already behind. And again, I do love it and I do love the community, but it's sometimes stressful. And I'm an actress because I'm a creative and I just hate being constricted to something. So sometimes the idea of you have to post stresses me, and it's like, no, I don't want to post now because I feel like I'm obligated to, right? So it's been hard to find that balance of like when I feel and it really comes out of a deep source that I really want to post for myself and for the community, or like it's obligation. Because I also think if you're posting because of obligation or to get followers or whatever it is that is not out of you wanting to, it's not the same energy that you're giving out.
Yes, 100%.
So it's a hard balance to find.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah, I think that's such a great thing to note is that I also definitely consider myself a creative, and I feel like, having that constraint of like, you need to post X amount of times today just to be able to... It's like, I don't like following things that I feel obligated to do for no apparent reason. You know what I mean? So, I like to post when I'm feeling it and when I'm feeling creative and when I want to. And so that is definitely hard to balance for sure. But I think we both do a great job, and anyone with social media, if you're actively putting yourself out there, you're serving your community, then you are doing an amazing job, whether you show up once a week or whatever. So don't get hard on yourself.
Absolutely. So before you go, you said you started with theater and you're a big theater fan. I mean, you live in New York, I guess you go see a theater a lot whenever you can.
When I can, actually, it's funny, I saw it a lot more. I went to Broadway shows a lot more when I was younger. And as I got older, I think that probably because of a budget thing, it's expensive to see shows in New York. And I was like a broke college student. And so when I would save money, it wasn't really to go see Broadway, even though I always enjoyed it when I did. But I've got to say, like, Hamilton, hands down. I never even saw it in person. I was in college when that first came out, and I was like, I'm going to save up. I'm going to see it. I want to see it. Finally saw it when it came out, and it was released on, I think, like Disney Plus. And I know it's not the same. I know that, but that is probably the first show that I would be jumping to see because I know it's returning in September, and I am so excited. I'm like, yes, I'll spend the money now because I feel good in my career and I feel really good. But it's funny because being so close to the city and having that love for Broadway, you would probably think I've seen more shows, but it's like the same thing as being a tourist in your own town. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen the Statue of Liberty, and yet I've never done the tour. I've seen it in person, but I've never done the official tourist version of it, which is so funny because I've lived here my whole life. So just goes to show. But I'm excited for it to return. Oh, so exciting. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I love Broadway, and it is expensive. I guess because I was studying acting, I took it more like, this is part of an investment in my education. So any money that I made, I would spend it on that. And I also was broke in college. But yeah, I love Broadway and I love Hamilton so much. So I'm very excited because I live in LA now. I'm very excited to fly to New York when Broadway opens again and maybe get to see some shows. But I wanted to know your favorite ones other than Hamilton. Do you have a top 3 that you can give us?
You know what? I have to take it back to Lion King, and that's so crazy, but seriously, The Lion King was a show that stuck with me because I saw it when I was younger, and I think that was the show that I really saw that I fell in love, and the Rockettes I've seen every year as a child, so that's just something that is so classic that I feel like the way that they keep reinventing it every single year, my jaw just drops because that's the one show that I try to see once a year. I haven't been as successful in my adulthood, But anytime I get a chance to do that around the holiday season, it is like the best thing. I'm back to the feeling of being so in awe, with everyone on the stage. And so the Rockettes is something that I have a personal connection to, because my friend tried out. I have a couple people that are like very close to some of the Rockettes, and they graduated with them.
It's hard to get in
friends
there.
With people in New York. Yes, it is so hard. I have so much respect for them. It is so crazy. But yeah, I'd say like that for sure. The Lion King stuck with me. Book of Mormon was good. Like that's a classic for sure. But I gotta say something about Hamilton. I'm definitely blanking because I haven't.
No, like Hamilton. What else do you need?
And Dear Evan Hansen, I know that's a really heavy one, but such a good one, And I know there's a trailer being released for the movie, so I'm excited to see the movie and how it kind of differs a bit from the play, if at all. But yeah, Ben Platt, I think is the main character. I'm so excited. He is so talented. Yeah, I just love it all. I love it all so much.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so remind us again where people can follow you on social media.
Yes, I am pretty much only and always on Instagram. So that is at ali.melendez on Instagram. DM me, book your free clarity call if you want to just see if maybe working together is best for you. I'd love to find out. And then you could just check out more about my background and the type of work that I've done on my website, which is alimelendez.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ali, for being with us today. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Yay. Thank you so much, Janice. This has been so amazing. I love it. This is awesome. And thank you so much for having me.
Hi, everyone. It's me again. I'm back. I really hope you enjoyed this interview. Ali and I had some technical issues, and I'm sorry you probably were able to hear that inside the interview. There was a moment that we had to cut and start recording again, so sorry about that, but this was a great interview and I'm so happy that Ali was here to share all this knowledge with us. Definitely, even if you're just considering, trying it out, seeing like what being a host is like, there is so many options for being a host. It can mean, having your own show on YouTube. It can mean being a podcast host. It can mean so many things, and I think Ali has an incredible program, so if you have the time and the curiosity to see what the hosting life is like, go follow Ali on social media and definitely sign up for her program. She is amazing and she is great at what she does. So thank you so much, Ali, for joining us here at The Actor's Vow again. It was so great talking to you. This is going to be all for this week. Thank you so much for being here another week. We're gonna have an awesome guest next week again. Promised, it is happening. I'm gonna be talking to her this week. And thank you for your support. Thank you for your support here and on TikTok and on Instagram. You guys are incredible. And I do want to take one moment to say that last Thursday on May 20th, it was the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And I do want to do a podcast episode about that, but I briefly want to say happy 1-year anniversary to The Actor's Vow and how incredible this year has been, how life-changing this year has been, and how beautiful it has been to meet you all, have you, not just a community at this point, you guys are like a family, and the way you interact and the questions you asked and the things that you share. I love seeing all your projects. I love seeing how much you're growing and following your journeys. I am just amazed by all your talent and by having you and having met you in this year. I'm just so grateful that this podcast has been here for a year and continues to be, and The Actor's Vow, which definitely is way more than a podcast now, a year later. So yes, thank you. This is my special 1-year anniversary. Thank you. As always, please remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. It's really helpful for the podcast. If this podcast has ever helped you, if this podcast has given you helpful advice, please leave a review on iTunes so everybody else can find it too. And also don't forget to follow on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Remember that on YouTube the interviews are there with video, and it's so much fun to watch and see our guest. Thank you again for another week, and I will see you all next Wednesday.